Hey there, I want to talk to you a little bit about stress. What do you think of when you think of stress? Like, I know that I could potentially think of stress and feeling stressed when I got to run kids around, balance work, eating healthy, getting my exercise in, what else? Paying the bills, all the things that come with life, right? And then maintaining the relationships, those important relationships in your life. So when all of that's on one plate, it can feel heavy and it can become stressful. I also think of stress within the body. If you get hurt, physical stress, right? You could have emotional stress. That could be maybe you're caring for the someone, an older parent that may be getting older simply, or a dying loved one. Stress, emotional stress could be just the roller coaster of emotions and dealing with maybe chronic pain or chronic illness or relationship strains, uncovered emotional anguish that maybe you haven't quite dealt with, past trauma, future worry. So you've got emotional stressors there. You have environmental stressors, which could be actual toxins, that could be chemicals that you are using in your home. It could be pollution outside of your home and in the air in which you are breathing. Environmental stress could be a climate in which there is emotional or physical abuse. That would be environmental. It could be the relationships. It could be a toxic work environment or community in which you are in that is toxic. So toxicity doesn't just necessarily mean chemicals per se. Then you could have, so we've talked a little bit about physical stress. I would also include nutritional. That could fall under physical stress, because if our nutrition is not optimal, it's going to create physical stress. It could create physical stress on the body. The nutrition that we feed our bodies and nourish our bodies with really needs to be whole, raw, unadulterated foods, the less processed foods, homemade foods that you can nourish your body with is going to allow your body to perform at more optimal levels, more efficiently. So nutritionally, and a lack of nutrition could create stress in the body. Food sensitivities you aren't aware of that could create silent inflammation in the body, could be creating stress in the body. You have social stressors. Do I fit in? Do you have a sense of belonging? Will I fit in? Feeling a lack of community, isolation, things like that, or being out there and involved, and so forth. So you've got your social stressors. Then of course you have your relationship stressors. How are your relationships? Do you feel deeply connected to those in your life? Are they superficial? Are they toxic? Are they healthy for you? So relationships are going to be key, and then how you maneuver and navigate those relationships. So we've got physical, nutritional, we have environmental, we have emotional, we've kind of talked about. And let's see, spiritual. Are you living your authentic truth? Are you living who you think you are? Are you living in alignment with your belief system? Or are you living in alignment with what society has told you to do, with the conditioning of those around you, your peers, your neighbors, your neighborhood, the institutions and the communities and the organizations that you are affiliated with? Are you living because a life that they want you to live? Or are you living a life that's in alignment with you? If you aren't, that's going to create stress in the body. So, and of course you can have damage, you can have an injury, that would be another physical stressor. So we've talked spiritual, we've talked relationship, we've talked environmental, we've talked emotional, we've talked physical. And so those are some stressors that might be happening, that might trigger or create an imbalance in your body. So, a stressor is anything that would disrupt your homeostasis, that balance. And anytime the body becomes out of balance, the body is also, and the systems within it are trying to bring the body back into balance. And sometimes that's compensatory. And so you might be recruiting a system and to help you with one system, but then in turn, it sort of depletes the other system. And so what we want to do is find balance. The thing with stress, so you've got good stress and you have bad stress. So good stress, eustress, EUSTRESS, is an acute stress. It's an acute stressor that can boost growth and learning and challenge your body mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, right? That type of stress. So I'm just going to give you an example. And the example that comes to mind is somebody who is training, or an athlete who is training, and they want to improve their endurance and their performance and their speed and their agility, and they decide to sprint up the hill. So during this sprint, for this particular individual, they sprint up the hill. It does all those things. It increases the heart rate, it increases the endurance, and it creates some stress in the body while the body is in action, bolting up the hill. I always think of Frisbee Field. So if you're in Louisville, you know what I'm talking about, the dog hill. And so it's created this temporary amount of stress. So ultimately, this athlete becomes a better athlete, right? Improves his or her performance, and that translates over into their sport, whatever that is for them. Maybe it's sport, maybe it's soccer, maybe it's basketball, maybe it's football, whatever. Okay, so that's your eustress. That's going to be a good stress that helps the body improve. Then you've got your chronic stress, which is a lot of the other things that I mentioned. The chronic stress is going to be that cumulative stress where the body never seems to, let's go back. So as soon as that temporary eustress is over, the body begins to reacclimate and it comes back into a homeostatic state and the body becomes back into balance. Now with cumulative stress, can be ongoing, right? And you're worrying about this, maybe things are going on at work, you're worrying about things going on at work, you're worrying about your relationship, what's going on with your kids, are you going to be able to make rent, juggle all the things, eat healthy, like I said, get your exercise routine, and all of these things. Put way too many things on your plate, right? And then the stress begins to grow and grow and grow. And as it accumulates, your body begins to stay in a chronically stressed state. So this state would be your sympathetic nervous system, because when we're in our sympathetic nervous system, the stress state, we constantly feel like we are running from a lion, except for that now the lion does not exist, right? I mean, it exists. But we are no longer running from the lion. We are no longer hunter and gatherers. We no longer have this thing chasing us if we're out hunting and gathering food. Right now, we have sort of all of this societal pressure hunting and chasing us all the time to make sure we have enough so that we can survive, right? Stress is an alert system so that we can survive and keep us alive. But what we don't want is to stay in that state, because in that state, we weaken our immune system. And during this time with this coronavirus, COVID-19, out and about, this invisible thing that we cannot see, right? But many are afraid of, which also creates stress. We need to make sure that we have stress reduction techniques available to us all the time. Like, we need to be making sure more than ever that we are implementing these stress reducing techniques so that our body, we remind our body and teach our body and almost retrain the neural pathways to relax into that parasympathetic state, to relax the nervous system so that the body can actually heal and the immune system is boosted. Okay? Whereas on the other hand, if you're in the so you want to be in the parasympathetic state, which is your rest and digest. As you're in this state, you're going to digest your food better. So then your nutrients that you actually chew and eat, digest, get across the cell membrane, getting into those cells. You are going to boost your immune system just by being able to drop down into this more calm, centered, grounded place. So I wanted to bring you a little short video about stress because it is so important right now, when all this craziness is going on, to find ways to reduce your stress levels. I don't know what that is for you. You could even just Google stress reduction techniques. And as you do that, find the ones that resonate. I'm sure loads will come up. I don't have to tell you some, Of course, I like breathing and deep belly breathing, because as you breathe into the belly and the belly fills up with air, it presses on that vagus nerve and sends a message to the brain to calm down. And so you could just do that. The cool thing about the breath, right? Prana in yoga and Sanskrit, breath, life force, is that it is always with you. So if you run out of your tools because you don't have your stress squeezy ball, or you don't have a bathtub with magnesium or Epsom salts, and you can't make it to the sauna, or all of those things, that's another wonderful thing about yoga and your own body weight. You can flow through a yoga practice with zero equipment, none. You don't even need a mat. You could do this on the ground, in the earth, ground those hands down onto your hardwood floors or down into the earth, the grass, and feel the soil underneath those hands and feet, and practice your yoga and drop your awareness down into the present moment. But you have your breath with you all the time, in the car, on the road, in the doctor's office, sitting on your couch. The breath is always with you. And so I really do like the breath, but there are a gazillion ways to reduce your stress. So I want you to think about how you are integrating stress reduction techniques into your life, and ask yourself, do I need to integrate or incorporate maybe a little bit more stress reducing techniques? You might not even know you're stressed. Sometimes we don't know we're stressed, and we might say, I'm not stressed. What would I have to be stressed about? You could have everything in the world, but sometimes it's just underlying, and that's when it can be just imagined, perceived, things that aren't really taking place in our external world, but it could all be going on in here. Perfectionism, the desire to be perfect, the desire to keep up, and to put out an image that maybe you aren't. That's stressful. And even though it doesn't feel that way, it can create stress in the body. And again, the immune system is weakened when you are in that stress state. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about stress. I hope you all have a great day. Happy Wednesday. And I will see you guys Friday morning at 9:30. If it's raining, you will get a text message from me about our class on Zoom instead of outdoors. I hope you have a great one. I'll talk to you soon.